Peace, love, light, and self-healing family. We're back at it with another episode of The Royalty. This episode of The Royalty explores the courage required to embody authenticity and vulnerability in a world that often rewards mask and guardedness. So we'll discuss how emotional fear, societal expectations, and trauma responses keep us from showing up as our true selves, and how that lack of authenticity prevents deeper healing and alignment with one another. So, why is it such a challenge to be authentic in such a performative world? Are you really your authentic self? Or are you who society wants you to be? Are you who your partner wants you to be? Are you who your parents want you to be? Are you who your job wants you to be? And you could be all of those things in different ways, which to me is living multiple lives. And I'm sure this person is very exhausted and burnt out. But why is it such a challenge? Are we really that afraid of being our unique selves? Are we really that afraid of standing out in the crowd? Or do we really not even know who we are? Because we're so heavily programmed, confused, and brainwashed and distracted. Authenticity can be difficult because society rewards your mask, your productivity, your perfection, your likability, instead of your truth. Society doesn't reward you for rest, for self-love, for boundaries, but you reward you. So many people learn to perform a version of themselves to get acceptance while hiding the parts that feel too real, too raw, or too complex. I know for a while on my own journey, I did this. I would learn and apply what I learned to my personal life, but then when it felt time to share that with others, I was hesitant. And for me, that was because I could think of everyone's perspective. So I didn't want to force feed or just throw things onto people and have them looking at me some type of way, which was really about them and not about me expressing my truth. And just for example, I'm talking about things like learning which planets govern the day and going about my cycle, implementing that Monday for Moon Day, Tuesday for Mars Day, Wednesday for Mercury Day. But I realized that everyone doesn't do that. So then I'm up against, do I remain being different and be okay with being misunderstood, maybe even judged? Or do I hide it and comply with what they're doing, with what they're saying for their approval? So for a while, yes, I complied for their approval because to me, it was like, I'm not going to be difficult. I'm not going to make people think I'm forcing them to say something that I'm saying. I don't want to be that oddball. I don't want them asking me questions about what does that mean, But when I found the courage to be authentically me, it no longer mattered because what mattered more to me was staying in alignment with me. And if I'm ever talking to someone and they feel that uncomfortable with the different words that I'm using, they can easily exit the conversation. No one's ever being forced to conversate with me or to know me. And that just goes to show you how performative our world is, because as soon as we start changing the vibration and changing our wording and the spells that we say every day, like Great Rising, You'll have the negative Nancy's that come out saying, oh, those people that say great rising, they this, that. As if what we're saying isn't more positive, but it has to be attacked as well, which then would make some people go back into conforming and feeling like they should have never started saying something else. So me, what I did instead with the whole Great Rising controversy, I still say Great Rising, but I add even more flair to it now. Now you'll get a grateful rising, an abundant rising. Sometimes I interchange rising with ascending and yeah, get creative with it now. Sometimes I don't even say rising, I just say peace and love and peace and abundance because the way we greet each other matters. The intentions we have for one another matters. And I would much rather be closer to people who understand that than people who don't. So yeah, it's also the fear of rejection that keeps people performing those roles instead of expressing their truth. But there will come a point within your journey when you know you for sure. So you know what you will and will not do. And when you know you for sure, you're going to take that mask off because there will be no need to wear it. Why? Why do we think vulnerability could feel unsafe? And especially for men, because I see it's very difficult for men to be vulnerable. Not all men, but most, majority. Vulnerability can feel unsafe because you're letting someone in to your sacred spaces, your sacred emotions, your sacred thoughts. You're softening to someone else, which is showing a trust for them. And you may be cautious of them taking advantage of that trust. Men are often conditioned from childhood to equate vulnerability with weakness. They learn to protect themselves by suppressing their emotions, and that leads to vulnerability feeling dangerous for them. Foreign or emasculating, opening up threatens their identity that they've been taught to embody, which is to not open up. In some cases, men feel like women are going to then use that information against them in the future. And I mean, when it comes to that, to be quite honest, you can't control anybody. I feel like you just got to be so secure within you and know your flaws so well and be working on your flaws so well. Because let's be honest, I don't get what would be the big deal. I don't mind being vulnerable because I know I'm working on everything that I'm vulnerable about. You see what I'm saying? Anything that could be considered secret information about myself, I'm working on it in real time. So I don't mind sharing it because you're going to see when I get through that and you're going to remember that I told you that. And that's going to be a testimony. So if we could be real, vulnerability scares both men and women. But I get that the programming would make it seem like men are less vulnerable. But yeah, let's be so secure in our own flaws that we don't mind sharing that wisdom with the next person. Or even if we haven't gotten to the point of wisdom yet within ourselves, sharing that experience, that testimony. And that brings us right into how emotional repression limits connection. Because when someone is open to you and then you're not open to them and they can feel that that door is shut, that emotional door, it kind of makes them feel like you're not being fully authentic and they're being authentic with you. So then they may probably back away, put up a wall, not take you as serious. When emotions are pushed down, communication becomes shallow. Repression creates walls, not bridges. And it blocks intimacy, empathy, and true understanding, making relationships feel distant, even when physically close. So I feel like in order to be authentic, you have to be self-aware. You have to know yourself beneath the expectations of other people. Your true self, your true needs, your true emotions, your true fears, and your true desires. Without self-awareness, it's difficult for you to show up as who you really are. Then more than likely you're showing up as who you've been trained to be. Trained by your parents, trained by school, trained by church, trained by your family, you know what I mean? All the things, trained by your job. And when we continuously wear that mask, it's a draining life. Pretending drains your life force. You gotta keep up the lies and lifestyles and fabrications, performances. And every time you do that, you're fracturing more and more pieces of yourself. It's like you're throwing more and more pieces of yourself out in the river for you to have to go find later on in life, whenever you decide that you're ready to truly figure out who you are. You become tired, anxious, misaligned, and you have this feeling of just being disconnected from your spirit, from who you are. You don't know how to read signs and synchronicities, and you don't know what to look for, and you don't know what message to take, and you got to put the mask down. All of them. Healing begins when you let yourself be seen, first by yourself and then by others. Vulnerability softens that armor, that defense, and invites genuine connection in. By accepting yourself, you restore yourself and you get to know yourself even more, making it a safe space always for you to live fully in your truth. So I believe, and royalty believes, that authenticity is the medicine. And when you live authentically, you give your nervous system permission to relax. You allow your body to release the tension of pretending. Vulnerability becomes the healing practice. That becomes the practice in the outside world. You become vulnerable with others and you realize, oh, nothing happens. I'm still continuing on my journey, as long as you're not seeking external validation from these people by telling them whatever you're telling them by being vulnerable. Don't do that. Don't think, okay, I'm going to be vulnerable with people and they're going to give me attention now or they're going to give me the answers. No, this is for you to begin to open up and realize that you are safe within yourself to express who you truly are. It's an act of liberation that aligns you with truth, peace, and connection. So before we close out this episode, here are some reflection questions. When was the last time you felt safe enough to be truly yourself? What situations make you hide or shrink parts of yourself? Do you associate vulnerability with weakness or strength? And how can you begin to build emotional safety within yourself? We're affirming we are safe to be seen in our truth. Our vulnerability is our power, our superpower. And we release the fear of judgment and embrace authentic connections. So thank you for listening. And I intend this episode served as a mirror for those learning to remove their emotional armor and defense. And I intend you find the courage to show up authentically and to love without fear and trust that your truth is worthy of being seen, heard, and felt. So until next time, peace, love, light, and self-healing, family.